Tonight's big stories. Vice President Sara Duterte steps in and takes over dozens of schools caught in the middle of the turf war between Makati and Taguig City.
To cope with higher rice prices, the Trade Department is adjusting a diet adjustment, meaning replacing rice with alternatives like sweet potato or kamote and corn.
And we'll have a chat with the Bago City softball girls team here in the studio on their incredible run in the 2023 Junior League World Series and breaking the country's 20-year championship drought.
Welcome to the show. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Gretchen Ho.
And I'm Sean Yao.
All right, we're starting tonight with the Education Department assuming authority over 14 schools caught between the Makati-Taguig turf dispute. DepEd issued Department Order Number 23, putting the affected EMBO schools under the direct supervision of Education Secretary Sara Duterte. A transition committee will also be formed to help with the turnover of the schools to Taguig City.
The schools under DepEd's temporary supervision are Makati Science High School, Comembo Elementary School, Rizal Elementary School, Pembo Elementary School, and Benigno Ninoy Aquino High School. There's also Tibagan High School, Fort Bonifacio Elementary School, Fort Bonifacio High School, Pitogo Elementary School, Pitogo High School, and Sembo Elementary School. Rounding up the list are West Rembo Elementary School, East Rembo Elementary School, and South Sembo Elementary School. In a statement, Makati City Mayor Abby Binay says she welcomes DepEd's decision to step in. She adds that they are ready to work wholeheartedly with the transition team.
Taguig City likewise welcomed this move by DepEd, saying it should put an end to the issue on the need for a writ of execution. The city government says it will allow all parties to move forward for the benefit of the community. Taguig also welcomed Mayor Binay's statement on the transition, saying it would allow the land dispute to be resolved without the need for re-litigation. But what about the parents? What do they think of this new setup? Let's get the story from News 5's Elaine Fulgencio. Elaine, what are the parents saying?
Hi, Sean. We were able to get the side of the Federation of the Makati Parents Teachers Association, and they welcomed DepEd acting as mediator in this issue. The group says this would lessen their worries for the upcoming opening of classes now that the DepEd is in charge of the transition. But we also got to talk to some parents who are doubting whether their children would continue to receive benefits such as free school supplies and uniforms. Just to be on the safe side, some parents are now saving extra just in case they don't get the same perks. School starts in a little over a week, so many are hoping that this move by DepEd would smoothen things out and students will have a good first day of classes on August 29. Sean?
Thanks for that. News 5's Elaine Fulgencio.
In other news, a complaint has been lodged by a radio journalist against Vice Mayor Zaldi Advincula of Donsol, Sorsogon, claiming that he was hit by the official on 2 occasions during his coverage of the Brigada Escuela launch last Tuesday. Journalist Mario Romero sustained minor injuries in his upper lip from the incident. The two are now pointing fingers at each other, accusing the other of starting the fight. Let's listen in.
Dumipensa po ako. Hindi po ako nauna. Ako po ang inunahan niya, nga lang, natangga ko yung suntok niya at siya ang nabalikan. Sinugod niya ako nung sinabi kong bastos siya. Susuntukin niya talaga ako, nasangga ko nga lang talaga.
Question ko lang yan doon, ma'am. Kung, yung Vice Mayor, bakit manununtok? Ano ba yung public servant? Kailangan bang manuntok agad? Na walang sabi-sabi? As a media practitioner, as a teacher, hindi naman ugali ng isang professional na mapang-abot sa ganun. Kahit na sinuntok ata yung mga media naman, wala tayong laban, nagpapasensya tayo. Pero sila, mabigat ang kanilang kamao, nasa power sila, bakit ganun sila?
Parang schoolyard fight lang eh.
I know. Tapos he said, she said.
Exactly.
Wala bang ebidensya to?
Oh, siya daw nauna. Oo, ikaw daw nauna.
Exactly.
Hindi mahirap. Wala bang witness? Please stand up. No. Ito na nga, no? So nagsalita na rin yung stasyon nitong journalist na si Mar Romero. Ang sabi ng Wow Smile Station, that if at any instance that he was criticized, the Supreme Court was resounding and clear when it ruled that public officers should not be onion-skinned and be rather comforted with a clear conscience. Nagsalita rin dito yung Media Association of Sorsogon. They also condemned the incident and said that Advincula's actions were not justified, regardless of criticism thrown against him by the reporter. And of course, yung NUJP, National Union of Journalists of the Philippines, also spoke up, and they are of the opinion that Advincula has no right to maul the reporter despite any personal grudge against him, and must comport to professional conduct as an elected public official.
Oh, I see. So what it's sounding like is, it sounds like there's a bit of bad blood between the two.
Oo.
Well,
Mukhang may history.
what's clear is that there was criticism. Pero kanina sinabi rin nung Media Association of Sorsogon that there was a threat carried out by Romero to lambast the vice mayor over the radio.
Ah, okay. Which
Parang
also
may
is
ganun. Pero hindi naman daw niya ginawa.
Okay, okay.
So yun.
Pero regardless, di ba, huwag na lang tayo manapak. Pwede, may tamang avenue naman, may tamang stage where you can take this.
Yeah, but then also on the other hand, you can't use the position to threaten
Oo,
other
also,
people, right?
It's also unethical for a
Yeah,
journalist
exactly.
to do that.
There should be a process to fight against if there was any threat made
Or
by
if there
the
was
journalist.
any libelous statement
That's true.
that was made, that the vice mayor thought was made against him, then he should have gone through the process. But that's just me. Since you talked about the NUJP and Media Union of Association of Sorsogon statements, I wanted to take a step back and talk about media harassment, right? Harassment against media workers. Under the Marcos administration, which is from June 30 last year to April 30 this year, the Center for Media Freedom and Responsibility, or CMFR, have documented around 75 cases of violations against media workers. Of these, 40 cases are involve intimidation, libel, 10 are libel and cyber libel, 7 are harassment, 6 barred from coverage and censorship, 5 were threats through messages and online, and 4 were cyber attacks, and 1 was physical assault.
Right. Remember back in the day, alam mo nasa YouTube to eh. Pwede. I hope we have a video. Yung sinapak ni then Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte, yung
I knew you were
sheriff,
gonna head
now
that way.
Vice President.
Hindi ko kasi makalimutan. You know what, when I think about Sara Duterte, yun yung video
It
na
looks
nagpa-play
like it
in my heart.
hurts.
Yeah, and she was really
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
parang bagong gising, like, you know, I imagine, syempre, dinedemolish kasi yung informal settlers, di ba?
Yeah, at that time.
Sinugod niya. I remember, nasa morning show pa ako. Nagising din ako. Wow, sino yan?
And that was in 2011. But, you know, as you see, kung may threat man made against the vice mayor, there is obviously an imbalance of power here. Somebody's
Yes,
in position.
exactly.
So whatever the cause was, kahit ano pa yung katwiran ng vice mayor, when you take a look at that scenario, talo talaga. Diba?
exactly.
That's why you have to, if you were under threat, take it through the right process. Yes.
Di ba, pag ganyan naman yung case, di ba? Kung hindi ka pumatol, di siya yung may
Feeling ko
kasalanan.
if we got into a schoolyard fight, si Gretchen yung arbitrator.
Referee.
Oh, yung referee, no?
So,
She's
Gretchen, tingin mo
very,
sino
like,
mananalo sa
she's
amin?
very, you know,
Wag mo na
even
sagutin.
keeled.
I hope so. That's yet to be tested. No, just kidding. Up next, amid rising rice prices, would you consider eating mais or kamote every day instead? We'll discuss that when the big story returns. Keep it here. You're still watching the big story here on One News.
Let's talk about rice again tonight because the government is reporting that rice production has climbed by 3% in the first half of the year. That's the good news. But the bad news is rice prices in some parts of the country have jumped to over 50 pesos a kilo.
Well,
Why?
This has been a problem since the start of the administration. Remember, the president made a promise to bring it down to 20
That was a
pesos.
key campaign promise
Diba?
that won him, I dare say that would have won him a lot of votes. Of course, I don't have proof of that, but it really resonated with the voting population, right?
Oh, kasi ngayon tuwing may nagko-complain sa social media, yun yung nasa na yung
Oo,
20 peso
naalala
rice. Diba
nila.
ganun sila?
Yeah, they
so yun yung,
remember it.
Doon nanggaling yun, so nung kampanya. But then again, no, we know that there have been export bans from the countries where we import from, namely Thailand, because of El Nino, which we're
Vietnam.
also suffering from. Vietnam, di ko sure.
Doon din. Doon
They haven't
kumukuha.
Doon tayo
banned.
kumukuha, yes.
Oh,
And then
yes.
India.
yes.
So, I guess
India
mas
was
mataas
the
yung
one that
presyo
banned. Oh.
ng oil
Yeah.
because nag-supply cut din yung OPEC. So, all these factors.
So I get what you're saying. It's a lot of external factors that he had no control over, that he knew he couldn't possibly have expected or foreseen, right? Pero still, a promise is a promise.
And
Yun lang.
also,
Ba't ka
and also,
nag-promise?
if the goal is towards being self-sufficient in
Yeah.
that area, then we're obviously not getting anywhere near that. Kadiwa, of course, is partly subsidized by government. So we're looking for long-term solutions here.
Yes.
That's right. We always
Long-term,
say, di ba, yung subsidies
sustainable solution.
are
But
not sustainable.
this seems to be a suggestion made. I'm
This
not sure
is
if
a-
it's
yes.
long-term.
This suggestion, this newest one, was made by the Trade Department, and it was for Filipinos, or is for Filipinos, to adjust their diets and consider other alternatives to rice. And here's the reasoning behind this before you react. Let's listen in.
May
Have
mga
you been
ganyang
increasing
proposals,
prices?
ano? When I was UP president, for example, I'm not saying I'm pushing it now, ano? We made experiments on rice corn mix, 70% rice, 30% white corn. We tested the nutritional value, the taste, the acceptability, and it was a pass. I talked to DA at that time. They agreed na we should promote it. Of course, for us in UP, we didn't have the, although we can suggest, we cannot implement.
But for rice price watchdog Bantay Bigas, Trade Secretary Pascual's suggestion is anti-poor. Instead, the group says DTI should thoroughly monitor prices of basic goods instead. The group added that TTI suggested alternatives to rice are even more expensive, with sweet potato going for 60 to 70 pesos per kilo, while a kilo of corn costs about 90 to 100 pesos.
Sabihin niyo yan sa mga manggagawa, sa mga magsasaka. Wala na silang idadayet. No? Sa hirap ng buhay, sa napakamahal na presyo ng mga pagkain, ay talagang gutom pa nga sila eh.
So just how doable is this suggestion for a top rice-consuming country like the Philippines? To discuss about this proposed alternative to rice, we have with us on the show Dr. Art Salazar. He is a research consultant over at the Institute of Plant Breeding in the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. Dr. Art, thank you. And thank you for sharing your time.
Thank you also for inviting me to air out this important issue.
Right, Doc Art, this is nothing new. Tell us your thoughts about this. We know, of course, that you have done extensive research in the corn industry and growing it, planting it, and of course the hybrid forms as well.
Okay. I'm glad the secretary mentioned about that 70-30. We were the ones who did that study. No? The idea is that if we could only supplement our rice supply with another staple which is acceptable, then this will help a lot in terms of our overall food self-sufficiency. No? Maybe unknown to many in Luzon, Visayas and Mindanao are heavy corn eaters. No? There was a time when, in fact, in 1998, when there was a severe El Nino, we survived because our compatriots in the south are eating less rice and more of corn. And one beautiful thing about corn is that it even lessens your chance of getting diabetes, or if you have diabetes, it could it could make the disease manageable. So our strategy is possibly convince the Filipinos that corn is a good staple. No, well, there are different types of corn. No, you have the sweet corn, which is the lady said about 90 pesos. Hindi yun. Ano? The corn that we are referring to is the flint corn or the hard corn, which has to be milled, in a special mill, which are available. That special mill is available in corn-consuming areas. So right now, I think the percentage of Filipinos eating corn as food, corn grits, we call it corn grits, is only about is less than 10%. So if we could only increase it to 10 or 20 to 20%, then we need not be afraid of losing import window because we have corn and it could be grown productively here. We have the technology, but the industry is not progressing because of small demand. But if there will be increased demand, I am sure that the farmers will be able to cope with the demand. They know how to plant corn, and they know the technology. They're eating the technology. I'm eating white corn grits and
Doc Art.
Yes,
Doc Art, masarap yung 70-30. Nasubukan ko na rin yun. Actually, it tastes very sweet when it's mixed with the rice. Tas, sabi, hindi ko nga alam na may corn na pala. Kaya lang parang may maliliit na dots. Yung grits pala yon. Sabi ng mami ko, oh my gosh.
Actually, yung corn, pag dinurog mo, pero talagang parang dark part. That is the attachment of the grain to the cobs.
Magkano yan, Doc Art, no? If you're saying hindi nga 90 pesos per kilo, kasi sweet corn yon, ito yung puting corn, when we compare it to rice, right? Can you tell us, to make this corn na pwedeng pang substitute sa rice, that specific kind, what's the production like? Same ba ng land yung kailangan? At magkano rin, no, para magpatubo ng corn na ganon?
Well, corn is easier to produce than rice. It does not need irrigation. Corn is rain-fed, no? And it's also physiologically more efficient. It could develop more biomass per unit time, no? Kaya tawag namin doon C4 crop. So, mas mura siyang produce. Ngayon, nagtanong ako, magkano ang presyo ng corn grits sa Cebu, sa Mindanao, sa Cebu, Mindanao. Mga 35 yung corn grits. Commercial yun, commercial. So that will help if more of the Filipinos, especially here, also in Metro Manila, will eat corn. But the issue is availability.
Hey, Dr. Art, alam po natin sa mga plano ng PBBM administration, ito nga pong hybrid rice that they say has worked in Central Luzon. What are your thoughts on that? Increasing production of rice, where are we at right now on that?
Well, a hybrid rice will increase productivity. I mean, the yield. It will increase the yield per unit area, no? But the problem is the price of the seed, no? And yun ang crux of the matter, no? Magkano yung seeds ng hybrid rice, ano? Yung ordinary farmer, may hirapan dyan, no? So, well, kung may mga production program, may subsidy, okay yun. Pero it could only do so much.
So what are we left with, Doc Art? Kamote na lang. Because
Mga kamote na lang ba tayo lahat?
Corn nga ang sinasabi
Corn,
namin.
okay.
Kasi
So,
ganito
realistic.
Okay, yung ating data,
but sir, sorry, you did point out it's hard to convince people to, replace it with hard corn instead. Kasi again, we're not talking about sweet corn, right? Hard
Yeah.
corn, ibang klase siya. So, judging by the name, parang...
Hindi siya matigas though, promise, kasi kinakain namin to dati. It took me months before I figured
But-
out.
Yeah.
Is it tasty? Right?
Yes.
Yes?
Masarap,
Yes,
masarap.
masarap siya. I could not tell the difference. visually lang nakita ko na hindi pantay-pantay yung nasa bowl ko. So tinanong ko sa mom ko, Mom, bakit durog yung rice? Sabi niya, hindi durog yung rice, yung iba dyan corn.
Okay.
Yun pala. So I could not taste the difference. Texture-wise, I couldn't tell. Yung itsura lang, para lang siyang like 1/2 nung butil ng bigas.
Okay.
Parang ganon.
But Doc Art, there is some pushback against this plan, no? Some of the groups are saying this suggestion by Secretary Pascual is anti-poor. What do you think?
It's anti-poor if the cost is 90 pesos per kilo. But just like what I told you before, it's 35 pesos in the Visayas, no? And if you have more volume, then probably we could sell it for a lower price. So the bottom line is how cheaply could you make corn compared to a kilo of corn compared to a kilo of rice? Well, in rice you have to irrigate, so that means expenses. But in corn, it's completely rain-fed. It's also more physiologically more efficient. So more biomass per unit area. So it doesn't mean that if we patronize corn, we'll be spending more. We'll be spending less, and people will be healthy. We're spending a lot for diabetes, for ano ba yung tinatawag yung sa kidney? Dialysis. It's because of diabetes.
Doc Art, bakit sa tingin nyo hindi sikat dito sa Luzon, no? Itong yung 70-30 mix nga nitong corn, grits at ng rice. Bakit sa Visayas? Is it just availability or hindi lang ba kilala dito yon?
Hindi lang kilala. Kasi ang mga level areas in the Philippines are in Luzon. Sa Visayas, Mindanao, marami dyan bundok eh. So hindi masyadong dadami ang rice doon kasi bundok eh. Lalo na sa Visayas. So, kaya because of the circumstances, their environment, forced to grow sila crops na makakain nila. So kaya ganun yan. More on Visayas, Mindanao. Sa Luzon naman ay rice. So yun, it's a matter of getting used to it. And to introduce a different type of staple, yeah, it will be a hurdle.
Doc, ano po bang mas masustansya, corn o bigas?
Ang mas masustansya ay corn. Mas masustansya ang corn. Kaya sabi nga namin, maski na ang rice ay sufficient, kumain pa rin tayo ng corn. Kasi maganda sa corn, mabagal siyang matunaw sa katawan, and it makes you less prone to diabetes. Kasi yun ang mabigat dun sa rice, lalo na yung mga masasarap na rice. Ay nako, para kang nakakain ng diabetes dyan. No? Pero sa corn, yung matigas na corn, matagal matunaw yun. So, you're not prone to high blood sugar.
Yung kamote, okay din po, alam ko, sa digestion. Pero kamusta naman po yung production nun? How easy or
ang
how
problema kasi sa mga root crops tulad ng kamote, kasaba, mataas ang moisture content yan. Ang hirap niyang i-transport. Ang hirap itago kasi mataas ang moisture content. Tsaka yung bulky. Hindi katulad ng grains na pwede mo madali siyang i-transport tulad ng corn.
Doc Art, meron lang akong technical question, Doc Art. For example, may rice, kunyari, rice farmer ako, gusto ko mag-plant ng corn. Can I just switch like that? Or marami pa ba akong paggagastusan? Like, kailangan ko pa bang i-treat yung soil, etc., etc.?
Mas madali i-produce ang corn kaysa sa rice. Ang problema mo lang, hindi ka basta-basta mag-shift kasi siyempre, titin mo muna yung market. Sino bang bibili noon? Pagkatapos yung processing. So it needs a certain kind of mill. Hindi pwede yung hammer mill na ginagamit sa paggawa ng feeds. Kasi yung sa feeds, dinudurog lang yun. Pagkatapos papakain na sa baboy, sa manok. Pero yung sa corn, kinikis-kis yun. Kaya ang mill, ang tawag namin doon ay kiskisan. Pag natanggal mo na yung outer covering kasi nandun yung dumi, saka mo dudurugin yung nasa loob, which is basically starch. So malinis ang meal. Pag corn meal ang gagamitin, hindi yung hammer meal.
Alright, maraming salamat po, no? Sana sumikat din dito yung mais. At matikman naman namin, baka ma-convert ang buong Luzon. Maraming salamat again sa oras nyo. Dr. Art Salazar, he is a research consultant over at the Institute of Plant Breeding of the University of the Philippines, Los Baños.
Sige na nga, let's all go home and eat corn.
Yes,
And
but it has to
kamote.
be the right kind of corn.
Okay. I meant sweet corn, but okay.
You meant sweet corn. All right, we're going to pause for a quick break. Right after that, the World Bank is providing the MMDA with a loan to build a 50-year drainage master plan in the metro. We'll talk more about that with MMDA General Manager Procopio Lipana when the big story returns. Keep it here. You're still watching the big story here on One News. So it looks like flood control initiatives are moving along. The MMDA has just secured a loan from the World Bank for a 50-year drainage master plan. Flooding has always been a big problem across Metro Manila, and the MMDA believes that it has something to do with the outdated drainage system in the capital region. The MMDA and the Metro Manila mayors are hoping to come up with an interconnected drainage system across NCR that are wide enough so they don't clog easily. There are no details yet on how much the project will cost and how big of a loan we can expect from the World Bank.
A lot of people are going to be very happy about this project, so let's get more details on that straight from the MMDA. We have General Manager Yusek Procopio Lipana. Yusek, thanks for joining us tonight.
Good evening.
Yusek, as we were just talking about the 50-year drainage master plan loan project, I wonder if you could give us more details. How big is this project exactly? What's it going to cover?
It will be 50 years drainage master plan. At now, almost all our drainage system in Metro Manila are outdated, masyado nang matagal, and also habang tumatagal, nalilimit ng space natin because of many infrastructure projects, buildings. So we have to make a study and we have to prepare for 50 years. So we have to ascertain the present condition, the existing drainage and the problems existing in the system. We have to identify that. Then we have to identify the critical areas that would require major interventions and countermeasures against all hazard, especially flood. Also, we have to improve our institutional and organizational capacities. So,
Yusek?
in the end, we have to formulate a long-term solution for the flooding, drainage, and stormwater management.
100% agree, Yusek, that we really need a long-term plan and a cohesive plan across all of Metro Manila. My question would be, maaabutan ko pa ba to, Yusek, 50 years? Paano yung timeline nito, Yusek? Kailan siya magsisimula?
We are now starting. We have finished the inception phase. So when we say 50 years master plan, it doesn't mean that matatapos to in 50 years. No. What we mean, yung gagawin nating master plan will be applicable for 50 years. We will be anticipating what are possible situations in terms of flooding for 50 years. So yan ang i-anticipate natin.
Yusek, sabi po dun sa report, no, outdated na yung drainage system natin. But I looked back at 2019, there was work done on the drainage system by DPWH. But what kind of work did they do back then? Bakit po outdated pa rin hanggang ngayon?
Sapagkat hindi interconnected or walang hindi what do you mean by that? Hindi coordinated, parang hindi yung mainstream na intercity, hindi natin meron parang
isolated po.
Parang nagkakaroon isolation
Kumbaga,
everything.
kanya-kanya per city.
Yes.
Yusek,
Yes.
so yun nga yung isa kong pinagtatakahan, no? I was thinking, anong magyayari with this master plan? Will you study the existing plans per city and find a way na pagkawing-kawingin ng mga ito? Or are we coming up with a completely new thing altogether? How will that work?
We will make a plan in such a way na lahat ng drainage system natin ay interrelated with each city. So if we mean to say, let's say ikaw ay Quezon City, gagawin mo yung drainage system mo. So it must be aligned with the 50-year drainage master plan.
Okay.
So in every city na magkakaroon ka ng improvement or infra sa drainage system mo, dapat naka-align doon sa 50 years drainage master plan na gagawin ng MMDA in coordination with the Department DPWH.
So Yusek, to clarify, you haven't identified critical areas at the moment yet?
We have identified critical areas, but we have to examine what would be the extent of intervention needed. Yun ang pag-aaralan natin.
Meron kasi mga obvious places that need help, right?
Espanya.
Like Taft and
Oo.
Espanya.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
syempre,
Malabon.
Marikina.
School belts. in
Marikina.
Yes,
Marikina.
Kung
exactly.
papansinin natin,
Painta.
yung mga sinabi yung mga flooded areas, yun talaga low-lying areas. Pero kung titignan natin, pagka biglang lumakas ang ulan, bababa, pero pag tigil ang ulan ay bababa na rin agad yan. So meaning to say, hindi lang sila ma-accommodate yung drainage system natin para makarating either sa Pasig River or sa Laguna Lake.
Yusek, can you give us an overview into how big the constructions will be? Because two problems identified. Yung isa, small drainage system, at yung isa naman, improper waste disposal. Gaano kalaki po yung magiging construction work at saka yung hamon, no, into piecing all of those LGUs together?
Anyway, we have the Metro Manila Council. Pag-uusapan naman po yan, o the Drainage Master Plan that will be formulated. It will be bring to the Metro Manila Council, kung bumubuo naman ng Metro Manila Council, all mayors of Metro Manila. So,
Yusek, what about continuity nga? No? Kasi alam naman natin yung mga mayor, tigta 3 years ang term niyan. Tapos next time, iba na yung mayor, baka magbago yung isip. Will this master plan ensure na may continuity beyond political terms?
of course, magkakaroon tayo ng continuity. Kanya ito is 50 years master plan para anytime magkakaroon ko ng improvement or changes sa drainage system ng bawat city, dapat naka-anchor to, naka-align to sa 50 years drainage master plan. Nang sa gayon ay nagkakaroon hindi mawawala yung connectivity, yung free flow ng water from the upstream to downstream para sigurado natin magkakaroon ng magandang free flow o traffic. And along the way, papunta sa Pasig River or Laguna Lake, magkakaroon tayo ng impounding area ng tubig para in so doing mapabawasan natin yung dadaloy sa water stream at the same time makakasave pa tayo ng tubig. Alam naman natin na talagang pahirap na with the coming itong mga global warming na to ay nakikita natin na nagkakaroon ng shortage ng tubig especially during El Nino. So yan isa din sa pinaghahandaan natin kasama yan sa magiging drainage master plan.
Yusek, sabi po ni Mayor Zamora sa San Juan daw, yung iba daw tinayuan na ng concrete pavement and other structures. Given po yung mga ganun na problema, how soon can we see the effect of this central drainage system? Gaano katagal? Mga 10 years po ba? Makikita na namin? O
Kailangan namin siya maabutan.
expectations po namin?
In due time, makikita po natin yan. Kaya sa ngayon po ay may programa ang ating gobyerno.
Wala pa.
Na lahat ng water waste natin ay lilinisin, alisin ng informal settlers para there are one contributor na nakakasikip sa daloy ng tubig and also there are one of the contributors ng garbage sa ating waterways.
Right. Yusek, huling tanong na lang usually, gusto ko yung sinabi mo na magkakaroon tayo ng impounding area no, bago magpakawala ng water to Laguna Lake or to Pasig River. May namamataan na ba kayong lugar or napupuso ang place kung saan siya itatayo? Where does it make most sense to put the water impounding?
It will be part of the study bago hindi lahat ng along let's say from upstream papunta sa downstream, along the way, very impound tayong tubig para hindi lahat tatapon sa Pasig River or sa
Laguna Lake.
Sa dagat or sa Laguna Lake, may impound natin tubig along the way na magagamit naman natin during dry season.
Right. Okay. Well, we look forward to hearing more details about this master plan as the project whirls along. For now, thank you for joining us. MMDA General Manager Yusek Procopio Lipana. O yan maabutan mo.
Maabutan ko
Some
siya.
part of it.
Hopefully. Optimistically. Well, if you remember, guys, we had this guest on the show. The Integrated Bar of the Philippines, or IBPS, issued a statement defending the integrity of the Supreme Court following the interview we did with the Presidential Advisor for Poverty Alleviation and the smart lawyer, Larry Gadon. Here's a clip from that August 8 interview.
This barment is not does not have res judicata principle na pwede ka mag-reapply anytime. And ako naman, hintayin ko lang na mamatay si Justice Marivic Leonen. Then I apply. Because
knock on wood.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
Because
Ito, may wood dito.
that disbarment is just a vengeance of Justice Marivic Leonen against me.
Now, in reaction to that, the IBP noted in a statement that Gadon's claims are baseless, malicious, and untrue. The National Organization of Filipino Lawyers described as unfair and contemptuous Gadon's comments that gave the impression that the Supreme Court's decision was tainted by politics. The IBP added that the disbarred lawyers claim that he can file a motion of reconsideration, quote-unquote, kapag namatay na si Justice Leonen is equally contemptuous. The IBP said that if there was any uncertainty about whether Gadon deserved to be disbarred, this interview is proof that the Supreme Court made the right decision. In other news, preparations continue for Gilas Pilipinas ahead of the FIBA World Cup, which starts in 8 days. Gilas is set to face off Ivory Coast in a closed-door tune-up game tomorrow. This will be one of 3 tune-up games for the national team before they begin their FIBA World Cup campaign. Head coach Chot Reyes said that these tune-up games will also serve as basis in choosing Gilas' final 12. From the current 16-man pool, Reyes and the Gilas coaching staff will have to decide on 4 players that will be cut from the roster. The national team has until August 23 to decide on that. Meanwhile, the FIBA World Cup Trophy Tour makes its second stop in Davao City as part of its ongoing Philippine tour. The Naismith Trophy was shown along the way of the giant durian outside the Davao International Airport, as well as the People's Park. The trophy was also brought for a courtesy call with Davao City Mayor Baste Duterte and Vice Mayor Melchor Kitain Jr. Gilas ambassador and Asia's former best point guard Jason Castro accompanied the trophy throughout the Davao tour.
Time now for a quick commercial break, but right after that, we'll be speaking to the Bago City softball girls team after their victory in the 2023 Junior League Softball World Series. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You are still watching the big story here in One News.
Another sporting milestone for the Philippines, this time in the sport of softball, as the Philippines captured the 2023 Junior League Softball World Series title in Washington, D.C. The country's representatives, who hail from Bago City in Negros Occidental, captured the crown after defeating East Region USA in the finals 3-0. En route to the finals, the Bago City softball girls swept their opponents in the bracket Pool A before taking down Arizona and Texas in the quarterfinals and the semis. Bago City's triumph marked the conclusion of the Philippines' two-decade quest for a championship in the 12 to 14 age category of the annual meet. The last time the country took home the title was exactly 20 years ago in 2003 when Bacolod City defeated Puerto Rico with a 2-0 victory.
And here with us live in the studio are the players and coaches of the Bago City softball girls team, our champions. Welcome to the big story.
Kilala siya itong pangalan for like 10 seconds.
Sorry, mali. I will correct that. Our world champions.
World.
Oo nga, you defeated the
Congratulations.
US.
Mga naman natin. Okay, first
Coaches,
of all, I guess
congrats.
you broke a 20-year drought for the Philippines. And we saw you carrying that flag, running around the pitch. Kamusta yung pakiramdam? Sino nga? Coach muna. Coach.
Yes po, siyempre happy kasi nakamit natin yung champion for the World Series sa softball. It's a big history po ito ng softball since na nag-champion po is 2003. And the manager is my dad, and mayroon siyang daughter na second base din po. And now I'm the manager for 20 years na nag-champion rin po tayo. And I have a daughter here, second base din po.
Which one's your daughter?
Which one is your daughter? Okay, raise your hand na lang.
Hi. So, yun ba yung goal nyo going to this tournament, Coach? Na to win the championship?
Goal, of course, we have a goal sa, sa Bago City, sa buong Pilipinas po.
Kasi parang alam ko you always came close eh. Parang nag-third kayo, etc.
Third?
Pero not quite, laging bitin.
Yes po, last
ng
year po.
konti,
Last year was
po,
third.
third place po.
Anong binago ninyo dun sa training ninyo, sa strategy ninyo to finally take home the championship?
Well, of course, train hard, discipline and teamwork in the team. That's why we can meet the champion po.
Ito ba yung same team as last
No,
year?
we have 7 players left since last year po.
Kasi tumatanda, no? Medyo
Yes po.
tight yung age group, 12 to 14.
Oh,
So
isa
baka
sa
yung-
mga standout players natin, si Erica. Si Erica Arnaiz,
Ito na si
85 strikeouts. Is she
Wow.
new to the team? Can you introduce our players? So,
Biglang
Ma'am Sarah.
nahiya
siguro
players
sino yung mga
natin.
holdovers from the last year? Yung mga 7
sino?
players na nabanggit
7
ko din.
last year po is Daniela Bejos, Christine Caracas, Froline Manalo, Diana Buenafe, Aisiel Tanaman, Audrey Sarsona, and Nice Lubredo po.
Coach, matanong ko lang, no? Yung nag-champion noong 2003, 20 years ago, Bacolod City, kayo sa Bago, mga 3 hours away from Bacolod, right? A few bakit
An hour.
An hour, yeah. But bakit sobrang sikat ng softball doon? At bakit ang gagaling ninyo?
Well,
Kasi
maybe
normally, di ba, it's basketball.
Yeah,
Diba?
yeah.
Sa Iloilo football, ganyan. Sa inyo,
softball.
softball.
Well, maybe on that question, I can give the mic to my dad because he's the owner of this team of the Bago City po.
Sige, go ahead.
Sige po.
Well, good evening. Nag-champion tayo ng 2003. Yung player doon, yung anak ko din, daughters ko nandun sa California ngayon. So, that's the history of softball and Negros, especially in Bacolod City. But then after that, nagtayo ako ng team sa Iloilo. Naka 2 years kami. Then bumalik ako ulit ng US. Then bumalik ng Bago City. Because doon kami nag-start sa paglalaro ng softball or baseball sa Bago City. So mayroon din kaming utang na loob sa bayan na yan. So tinuloy namin.
So, bali nag-training din po kayo abroad?
Yeah, doon sa California.
Wait, ano po yung mga inuwi natin dito ng mga learnings? I mean, I think that's also part, one common denominator po sa ating mga champions, usually yung knowledge from international training and games and tournaments. Ano po yung mga inuwi nyo dito na learnings para sa mga girls natin?
Wala naman, but doon lang kami bumibili ng learning.
Ng gamit.
Yung mga gamit, gano'n, yung idea namin. So, because I'm the former national player, I'm the member of RP Blue Boys and
Paano
national
kayo,
team.
paano kayo, coach, I guess coach ka rin po, paano kayo napasok sa softball? And what year was that when you started playing? In
I start in year 80s.
80s.
So, after my career in playing softball, and then nagtayo ako ng team para ma-promote yung talent ko rin na ma-share ko sa mga bata.
Pero teka lang hindi lang softball yung sikat sa Bago City. Diyan din ang galing si Mansueto and Roel Velasco. Boxing din.
Yeah.
Boxing.
Ano ba kinakain nyo dyan?
Oo nga,
Mais.
napaka-sport.
Mais ba?
Baka corn
Mais.
and kamote.
Hindi kasi,
Bigas
ano
din
ba yung
daw.
sikreto natin, ano? I mean, kasi I think this is also an opportunity to put the spotlight on softball na hindi po lagi nababalita, hindi rin po nakakaalam ng marami. Ano po yung masasabi po ninyo dun sa the way you honed these girls to come up with a champion team? Ano po yung naging sikreto natin?
Well, kasi yung dad ko sabi niya is, yun nga, he build the team sa Bacolod City in Paglaong Village po. And start on 1998 until 2005.
Kumbaga ang tagal.
Yes po.
Oo.
Then we stop. Then we start again 2011, 12, 13, and 14 that year sa Iloilo City naman po. Then naglaro naman sa World Series, nag-third place. Then we stop. Then we start again 2018 or 17. Then nag-pandemic. So we stopped train. But nag-continuous. Then 2022 last year, continuous po yung training, hard training ng mga player. Then last year third place po tayo, but now we made it.
Yeah.
So hindi lang championship, we read that you guys had 7 straight wins.
Correct.
So undefeated, bale,
Yes po.
right? So my question is, I mean, how were you able to keep the girls focused? Kasi syempre, there's also still school.
Well, we focus naman especially kasi before the tournament, nag-i-scout po kami doon sa kalaban, of course, kung saan sila mahina. So, yun nga, sabi ko sa pitcher, sabi ko rin sa catcher na ganito yung ibibigay na bola para hindi nila matamaan.
Teka, si Erika, yun nga, 85 strikeout si Erika. Paano ba yung anong ginawa mo?
Anong sikreto
Ha?
Training.
Hindi, ano yung, paano mo hinahanap yung weakness nung hitter
Paano mo binabasa yung batter?
Sa swing po nila.
Sa swing nila. So, nakaka-identify mo, ito medyo tatagilid yung bola, gano'n. Alam mo na yung direction. Yung
May pectus.
Nagpa-practice din po
pectus.
kasi Nagpa-practice din po kami ng spotting.
Ano yung spotting?
Like outside, inside, and riser. But focus po sa riser talaga kasi matangkad po yung kalaban.
Kinabahan ba kayo?
Nung una po.
Oh.
Teka, alam mo ba, schoolmates silang lahat?
Oh.
Then, so it so happens, sa school team sila, and they're also I guess, representing the Philippines. Paano kayo napasok sa softball? Ikaw, Eric, how long have you been playing?
When I was grade 3.
Grade 3.
Tagal-tagal na din. Oo. Pero bago ka lang dito, di ba, sa softball team, Coach, paano mo siya na-discover?
Na-scout mo ba?
Well, naglaro na siya, he started playing since, sabi niya, grade 3. So, step by step until nag-junior league, senior league. But last year kasi, senior league siya, but her age is qualified for junior league this year.
So, yung skills niya pang senior, yung
Okay.
age niya pang junior. Parang ganun ba yun?
Well, that's right.
That's
But her age is qualified for the junior league.
So now you're world champions. Ano naman, what's next? Ano yung next goal natin?
Well, next goal is after the interview, after everything with this, back to training, back to school kasi
School's
back to
starting
school
na.
po.
Naman ni Coach, wala bang celebration muna?
Walang pahinga yan.
Pag bumalik po sa Bago City, of course, meron din kaming, home of the champion. Doon po kami na, yung bahay ng mga ito. So, we celebrate naman doon kasi meron namang piniprepare yung Bago City Mayor. So, doon po marami pang activity.
So, may parade kayo, welcoming parade.
Well, may
ganun.
caravan siguro and pupunta ng mga mayors kung saan yung
Coach,
agenda.
alam natin, no, softball, I think, is an underrated sport for the Philippines. Siguro marami rin po nanonood dyan na baka gusto mag-sponsor. Ano bang kailangan ng team ninyo para magtuloy-tuloy yung programa that we end up with multiple championships? Malay mo si MVP nanonood.
Well, sir, baka naman.
Bakit
Kaya naman, ano po yung pinakakailangan natin? Tsaka siguro para sa mga little girls who want to start on this sport, what is needed?
Well, of course, equipment, but we still have more equipment. I mean, naman sa yung use ng yung mga age ng mga to. So the 11, 12, they use the older things. So okay naman po. So well, okay naman yung Bago City support. They give sack, 20 sacks a month. Then nabigas po. But this food is it's for my dad pocket like yung pagkain
Out
every day.
of pocket niyo yung...
Because nutrition is so important.
It's important for
Yes.
athletes, especially
We provide-
their age.
My dad provide the needs like food every meals,
Wow.
breakfast,
Ang
lunch and dinner.
galing.
So yung bigas po yung binibigay ng city, which it's okay. So my dad
Saludo po kami sa inyo. Napakahirap po nun.
yes po.
More
And
power. Hope you...
not only one team, not only this team, because we have 3 category like 11, 12, 13, 14, and 14, 16.
How are those younger teams doing naman?
11, 12. Well, okay naman sila, but we didn't put like a major league sa Philippine Series like they play a World Series. Yung Negros Occidental po yung nag-represent.
Okay, congratulations sa inyo, mga world champions po natin, ang mga Negrense mula sa Bago City, ang ating softball girls world champions of the Junior League World Series. Congratulations.
Congratulations, girls and coaches.
Oh, enjoy your round of your victory tour, rather. Maraming salamat.
Yan, pahinga, kain, and then back to school, back to training, and that's it for the show tonight.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.